George.
Well, the Islamic State has evidently decided that mere beheadings are banal and that they need some bigger shock value. The question is, to what end? What is the shock supposed to accomplish? If it's supposed to demoralize Jordan, we've had a lot of experience with this. We tried saturation bombing of Germany in the Second World War and had no effect that we could predict or wanted on declining German morale. If it's supposed to recruit people, who's going to be recruited by this that wasn't recruited, if you're after sadism, by beheading? Maybe they think this will cause some states to flinch from their policy of not dealing with terrorists and not negotiating over hostages, and they can go back to making money from ransoming these people. I have no idea. What puzzles me, there's one fear and one puzzlement. The fear is, wait till they get a hold of an American. And this Jordanian was in a plane that was shot down, and we have men in planes over there. We were propelled into a war once over the bombing of the Maine. I can imagine what the American reaction would be. And
by all accounts, they have a woman.
Yeah, by all accounts. You know, the other thing that I think this will do is I think it will make it impossible for them to get any ransom, because they were asking for a deal after they'd already killed him. In other words, they wanted this Iraqi female suicide bomber in exchange for him after they'd already killed him. So they have no credibility at all in terms of being negotiators. This could be a turning point. You know, you only know a turning point in hindsight. But Jordan sounds like it wants to redouble its efforts to fight ISIS. Hopefully other countries in the Middle East will do the same. And hopefully we will step up our efforts too.
Multiple sources tonight, and Catherine reported this earlier, are saying that she has been moved from death row and will be executed by dawn. This is the prisoner, Sajida El-Rishawi, the failed suicide bomber you're talking about, and there she is, said to be executed tomorrow.
But there's a fourth possible objective, and I think it is ISIS objective: destabilize its neighbors. Jordan is a miracle in the region. It's the most stable regime, yet it's the weakest. It has no oil, and yet since for the last 70 years it's had only 3 rulers, but it has huge divisions internally. It's got a lot of Muslim brotherhood. It has some ISIS sympathizers, and I think the objective here was to draw Jordan into a war where it was a peripheral player. And this highlights, I think, the danger. We all worship at the shrine of multilateralism, broad coalitions, to bring everybody in. As a way to restrict American action, Obama is now involving the UAE, the Saudis, and of course the Jordanians, and now we see the result. Jordan being drawn into a war, a direct war with ISIS, is not a good thing for us. Jordan will not defeat ISIS on its own. It wouldn't even defeat ISIS even if it had some coalition partners. It's the United States, essentially, which is the only, or Turkey perhaps, the only partner. So here we are bringing in Jordan for symbolic reasons, yet a real pilot is shot down in real time and then executed in this horrible way, causing a reaction in Jordan where the king is now on the spot. He has to do something intense, important, punishing, and that will draw him. And he's got refugees from, of course, Palestine, but of course, Syria, Iraq. He's got a lot of internal dissent, which we have seen over the years. And this is a way to stir the cauldron in a country that is stable, was stable, but is easily destabilized. And that's what ISIS is after.
1.5 million refugees, George. And as you look at a map of that region, they are essentially surrounded by a growing Islamic State. They are still, we're told, the only Arab nation still dropping bombs in Syria. We had this larger coalition that was doing it, but now they're left with the U.S. and second on the bombing runs behind the U.S.
Well, if Charles is right, then, and he will be about the inadvisability of letting Jordan get into this, then we have to rethink our idea of what asymmetric warfare is doing in the Middle East. What's the point of all these military forces? According to the CIA, there are now about 31,000 Islamic State fighters. The Jordanian army consists of 110,000 what they call active frontline personnel. They have 1,300 tanks. They have 4,600 armored fighting vehicles, 116 fixed-wing aircraft. What are their militaries for?
The Jordanian army is a Bedouin army, and the Bedouins are a minority in Jordan, overwhelmingly Palestinian who are ambivalent, and now a Syrian and Iraqi. Jordan is not going to be the instrument that's going to liberate Syria. If there is going to be one, it'll either be the United States or Turkey. Turkey is a serious country with a serious military. It isn't a construction, which Jordan is. It's a real country.
Well,
And getting Turkey in should have been our objective, and we have not succeeded in doing that, and that's the failure of our diplomacy.
you are going to have a coalition meeting at some point of these countries to deal with this. It seems like it's a bit delayed here, perhaps because of the Saudi King and the